Good morning, people. I hope you are all doing well. Start in the room, waiting for people to join. There we go. Good morning, Nico.
Good morning, Pierre. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. I hear rumors that you are currently in a sunbed over in Greece, Nico.
That's 100% accurate and correct. That's true. I'm just waiting for the iGaming next breakfast to be over, and then I'm hitting the pool again.
Well, that's not too bad, to be honest with you. But if I were to choose, I'd choose the Clubhouse room, that's for sure.
True. Rory, you just joined us as the speaker as well. How are you and where are you?
Hi Nico, I'm very well, thank you. I'm just currently sitting in my usual office space, so not on a sunbed or a lounger for that matter. But yes, currently still in London, but just yeah, it's quite humid today. Actually, it's really humid. So I'm currently sitting here. I need an aircon I think in a second. So, but no, all doing very well. Olympics is over, so I'm into my sport. So. Olympics is over, so I need to. Well, looking forward to the Paralympics actually, but yeah, it's a good couple of weeks I think for Germany as well as the UK I think in terms of Olympics.
To be honest, with respect to the Olympics, as of now, they are all questioning the 500 million euros, which has been spent all over to the sports, and we just gained as few medals, which we never gained until all over Germany just got to back to one piece. So as of now, they're literally struggling a little bit. So each and everything has been put to question.
Well, I mean that's always been the case, and it does cost quite a lot of money I think to run the Olympics. But I think the feel good factor or the bringing the country together is always a good thing. And I think I watched a really interesting documentary. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It was during the 2012 to do with the 2012 Olympics. It was a documentary on BBC. If anyone fancies, I think it's Chasing Gold or something like that it's called. But it was basically in 1996, I think in Atlanta, the UK finished the lowest it's ever finished. Like it was like 10th or 14th, and so it was like the journey for the UK Olympics to get to number 3 in the world or number 2 in the world. I can't remember how far they got the table, but all geared towards 2012. It's quite a fascinating documentary actually about how much pressure, not pressure, but how much they put into it in terms of money, but also how much was expected of the athlete towards the end. You know, we went from an amateur mentality to a very professional mentality. So it's a really interesting documentary. I highly recommend it if anyone's got a spare couple of hours to watch. I think it's a 3-parter or something like that. But yeah, it's fascinating. And actually, I didn't realise.
What is it called, Rory?
It's a chasing Olympic gold or something like that. I'll have a look for it now. Yeah, and I didn't actually realise John Major, who most people in the UK don't recommend as a politician. He was the actual one that instigated the lottery, which actually then transpired to obviously help our athletes get funding and etc. So interesting fact that he was the one that actually allowed us to get where we are at the moment with the Olympics. So if it wasn't for him, we might still be down in 14th place.
Amazing. One of many things to thank for the gambling industry, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. See, so it has its benefits.
Love it. Good morning, Katie, as well. Nice to have you back here. How are you doing today? And over in Spain, you're
Good morning. Yes, I'm doing good here in Spain. We've had some great weather for a couple of days, but hopefully it will be very nice today. I have my brother here visiting, so I'm going to take him out after this Clubhouse session. How are you guys?
Fantastic, Katie. Really good here. The hottest day of the year in Malta, but we'll survive anyway. Actually, yesterday was the hottest temperature ever recorded in Europe, just outside of Malta in Sicily. It was, I think, 49 degrees or something like that. It was in the middle of Sicily, which I guess is just a trend that is continuing year by year here. But yeah, I guess if there's any high score you don't want to beat, it's the highest temperature high score. But yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is.
No, absolutely not that high score. No.
For sure. Good morning to you, Jan, as well. Nice to have you back here as well. How are you doing this morning?
Hello, good morning, guys. Looks like I'm gonna have this as my practical Thursday exercise. Every Thursday at 10 o'clock, checking in with you guys. Doing well.
Great. We can see it as a therapy session this Thursday.
Yes, a little bit it is. I try to keep things like this going. So, you know, if the pandemic hits again, I will have some regular contact with people outside of work, even though it's a little bit work if you think about it.
Exactly. By the way, John, I see that you are a fan of MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing. By any chance, are you a practitioner or also, or just interested in the sport in general?
I'm actually a practitioner. I really like the expression of thoughts through movement, if I would say it like this. It's a very interesting discipline to on one side toughen your body, but I would say it's so much mental game, all martial arts. It's very interesting for me. So yeah, lately I got into boxing mainly because some guys from SBC, you know, wanted to organize a boxing event before the pandemic, like 2 years ago. And we started talking, and it was supposed to happen in London. Then, you know, everything got postponed, so we agreed that we're gonna do it in ice, and hopefully in 2022 it's the next date. So it should be an iGaming charity boxing event. I don't know how they're gonna rename it, but yeah, I hope that I'll get there back on training horse with the guys, because it was so much fun to meet people from the iGaming industry and martial arts environment.
Yeah, you and me both fans and practitioners, John, and I know a couple of guys who are gonna participate in the white collar event that SPC are organizing. There's Vasilia Lekovic of Trustly. He's
Yes.
fighting Daniel Beard, the organizer, and I've been helping Vasilia with the coaching for that fight, but he's been training a long time now. So yeah, I hope it will take place as well.
Yeah, I think it's a new thing for the industry, you know, these kind of events. I know there is like, you know, football matches between companies and you know, like this kind of let's say group team building events, but I like the idea of making it a gala, you know, a full event with everything.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be the entertainment.
Very good. The practitioner in the ring. I like it. Good morning to you as well, Lisbeth. It was nice to see you on the street yesterday, and it's nice to see you back here today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's nice seeing you on the street. That's the good thing about Malta, right? It's a small island and we all hover around the same square meters. So that's always really nice, even in the heat. And I agree with Jan. You have to block the Thursday morning and check in with each other and get up to date with all the latest gossips and updates for the week. I really value this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's both a good and a bad thing at Malta. The side street is so small. It's nice to see friends, but then if you have excess in Malta, it's impossible to avoid them. So that would be the downside.
Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Guys, what a great panel we have here today. And there's some really interesting topics to discuss today too. Everything from Leo Vega's quarterly report that came out this morning, which was a bit of a disaster, to be honest, to lots of news coming out from DraftKings. Obviously, Penn Gaming acquiring the Score. That happened also a couple of days ago, and lots of interesting movements in the industry this week. But before we jump into the juicy topics of today, I know that my friend, my amigo, the absolutely fantastic Nico, has has prepared a great summary of the week so far. So I'll leave it over to you, Nico.
Okay, thanks, Pierre, for handing over the mic once again to me. So we can easily just talk about all the actions which DraftKings just filed or has been confronted with just the last week. But we will just put it aside and we will just touch at some of these topics. We're also waiting for Karolina to actually join us to give us some insights or her thoughts about the DraftKings reaching the agreement to buy Golden Nugget for roughly $5.6 billion, as the overall casino space is pretty much home turf of Karolina. I will just leave out this one and hand it over to Karolina as soon as she will join us again. And then already talked about last week, the CVC deal buying into La Liga is in struggle, in question, in jeopardy again, as Real Madrid and Barcelona, the two heavyweights of the Spanish La Liga, are actually taking the La Liga to court. And if we just remember what we talked about last week, literally the same happened in Italy with the Serie A, as well as Inter Milan and Juventus took the Serie A not to court, but questioned the overall deal, which led to this deal did not take place. So it's we are thrilled to see if the CVC deal buying into La Liga will actually become possible, will actually become reality. As said, DraftKings, their marketplace with the NFT goes live or has gone live. So they officially launched their non-fungible token, the NFT platform marketplace, with some content available to purchase. So the pre-season active access collection debuted just yesterday on the 11th of August with autographs from athletes such as Wayne Gretzky, Tony Hawk, Naomi Osaka, Tiger Woods, and Tom Brady leading the overall pack. So the besides all the other stuff which DraftKings has done within the last 7 days, they actually put their NFT to live. Then the Q2 commercial gaming revenues for the US have been released, and they reached a record of $13.64 billion US dollars. So the American Gaming Association, with the acronym AGA, have reported the US commercial gaming revenue reached a record high of $13.64 billion, which is roughly 10 billion pounds or 11.6 billion euros for the Q2 2021. So the previous record had been set in the Q3 of 2019, and this had been reported $11.1 billion. So they are outperforming the last record by 22.5%. It's just amazing what actually happens in the US. Again, and already touched down a couple of weeks ago, New Jersey becomes the first state to legalize the fixed odds betting on horse racing, as the governor actually signed the bill. So we touched on this topic a couple of weeks ago, that the bill has to be signed by the governor to finally come into action and finally actually happen. And this has now been saved and sealed. So we will see fixed odds betting on horse racing in New Jersey as well. And now one of the topics which we all, being into the sports betting industry and aiming for the US, have been waiting for. So the New York mobile betting license bidders revealed So the New York mobile betting licensee bidders have been revealed. And remember, this is a closed auction, and only 2 applicants will get the final license. And the numbers we are talking about, which we touched on, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where taxation in New York is crazy. You have to at least transfer $25 million to actually apply for the license. It's just crazy. And what we can see is that all the big names, all the heavyweights are actually applying for the license, which includes the FanDuels, the Cambys, the Bet365, the FoxBet, the Score, and of course the DraftKings as well. So each and every applicant actually provides its application, promises the state of New York what they will actually pay for, how the revenue share deal, which is in the end an all affiliate deal, will happen between the operator and the state. And as said, it's just crazy what's going on in New York, and all the big dogs actually lined up to apply for a license. So as soon as the application process will be over and the 2 winners will be named, I'm pretty sure as soon as we have a look at the numbers, what the 2 operators being able to officially operate in the state of NYC, it will be mind-blowing. Heading over to the M&A side, Betson gained top spot in Peru by acquiring Incabet for $25 million. So Betson, they continued their recent expansion in South America, and last week they just announced that they reached an agreement with Incabet, and they bought it with their subsidiary SW Nordic Limited. So we will see Betson actually putting more effort into their South American expansion, and we're thrilled to see further information of how they will actually invest into further M&A actions as well. Heading over to the legal side. It's not because I'm here in Greek, it's just because the Greek gaming market is quite active, and we have seen the iPhorium receiving a license, and Hacksaw Gaming received a license as well. So on a week basis, and we are thrilled to actually see how the Greek market will expand as well. The MGA has been quite active as well, as they cancelled the CZ trading and cyber slots licenses last week as well. And then last but not least, and filing this with DraftKings as well, DraftKings, they received their subpoena by the SEC due to the Hindenburg allegations. If you're not familiar or watching the serious suits, a subpoena actually means that that a specific date has been announced where you, as the actually suit party, will have to be at court. And so we will see DraftKings actually hitting the court and dealing with a subpoena from the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, based on the Hindenburg report. If you're not familiar with the Hindenburg report, this has been filed and released, I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 months ago already. And Pierre, you're quite familiar with that topic. Based on the SBTech merger. And within that report, it stated that at least 50% of the revenues of SBTech are linked to black markets operations. So that's it from my end, and I'm just happy to discuss all the topics with you.
Thank you so much, Nico, for always putting in the effort, for digging deeper into this news. I personally think the New York mobile betting license bidder starts being revealed. The news surrounding that is really interesting. Will be interesting to see what two licensees will be chosen here in the end. As a friend of mine mentioned the other week, don't underestimate the corruption in the US. So let's see who will be the final chosen ones there. But I think there's a lot to talk about surrounding DraftKings as a starting point today. I don't even know where to start. There's the acquisition of Golden Nugget. There's the subpoena by the SEC surrounding the Hindenburg report. They also released a quarterly report. They have also created the NFT marketplace. Lots and lots of things going on in the DraftKings world. But I can see that Karolina, you managed to make your entry here into the room today, and you've been reading up a bit on the Golden Nugget acquisition here. I think. Do you want to kind of start and mention what your thoughts are in general, Karolina, on the acquisition that DraftKings made? And good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning, Pierre. Good morning, everyone. Let me just say, first of all, I'm not going to give this sort of analysis in the likes of Regulus, partners, or someone like that, because I'm not qualified and I actually haven't read those reports. But I think it's super interesting from pure brand and product perspective, because Golden Nugget is a undisputed leader in the New Jersey market when it comes to casino, and they've been doing stuff sort of on the next level of things, and it's been very visible from their promotions to the retention programs to how the product was presented on site. So they were led by European leaders, Thomas Winter, very sort of ex-Betclic, so very experienced and executive. So I think for DraftKings is a great extension of expertise on the casino side, where they hold the undisputed leadership and innovation value in pretty much everything else. So that, and let's not forget also that Nugget has their own live dealer studio on premises, sort of operated by Azugi, so Evo, but they operated themselves, and they've been doing really well on live dealer. And I've always said the live dealer has great potential for the US market. So this will be interesting. And again, I mean, Golden Nugget wasn't live in Pennsylvania yet. That was taking its time, and a lot of people were asking me how come they're still not live there. So there's going to be great benefits for both of these parties from product perspective, from expertise perspective, and should they want to take this B2B as well, again, they have just strengthened each other's position on casino and sportsbook side. So I think it's an amazing partnership. I would hand off to someone else to talk about, the valuations and the finances, because that's not really my strength.
Great summary. It's a great comments, Karolina. I think something Jason Robbins, the CEO of DraftKings, points out as well is the lack of overlap between DraftKings and Golden Nugget's customer base. They point out that DraftKings customer base is overwhelmingly male, whereas Golden Nugget's customer base is made up by 50% female, for example. Obviously, DraftKings is a sports betting centered brand and organization, whereas Golden Nugget is iGaming centered. So the lack of overlap is something that's where they see some of the main synergies here, that they are acquiring a lot of new customers, in other words. So it's very interesting what DraftKings have been able to make, and it was actually anticipated by some analysts that Golden Nugget was in the crosshairs of DraftKings more than a year ago, even actually. I don't know if there's anyone else have any comments on the specific acquisition here. There's a lot of details, a lot of complexity around it, of course, but if there's anyone who would like to chime in on the topic here, perhaps. Yeah, John.
Yeah, I just want to chime in a little bit in general because like I didn't read the reports as well. I don't have the details, but it seems to me that the iGaming business is entering in the next phase when you have American business and American money involved. Like this is it becomes this very accelerated growth, hard acquisition business, and basically there will be news every week. I assume that there will be lawsuits flying left and right, and things are gonna be crazy for a while because you have I would say some overvaluation. You have like mentioned, guys like SB Tech who are known to do like business in a, well, let's say very aggressive way, and they coming to the US, and now they're suddenly being scrutinized on their incomes. So it will be a melting pot, and I'm sure since the system in the US is very much business focused, and the regulation side is sometimes just waiting to pounce when the business makes a mistake, that we'll have a lot of things happening there. So I think it's just the beginning at this time.
Yeah, what is your thoughts in general, John, on the US market and its potential? I mean, as the CEO of Endorphina, I'm sure this is something that you guys talk a lot about internally, and US strategies and so on and so forth. Like, do you feel that, I mean, like companies like DraftKings obviously going all guns blazing and expecting the market to be absolutely massive. Are there more complex synergies that one should be aware of when it comes to the US market?
I can talk from our point of view because we definitely did some serious research, and I would say, like, even when the New Jersey market opened, we started to talk with local guys, and unfortunately we arrived at this point that basically everybody arrives to, that you need a local partner. And I'll be very honest, we cannot match like a company like Evolution that does not need a local partner, and yet they still are doing these partnerships. So we were worried at the beginning that basically if we do a distribution deal, which is fine, we can get basically swallowed there in the US. It's something that we usually want to do the things on our own, and if we get too deeply into some, let's say, not a merger, but some kind of very deep partnership, because the local guys obviously know how the business works, and they don't offer you like, look, we're going to distribute you, we're going to help you with the paperwork, we're going to go help you with the license. They usually ask you directly, look, just give us the games, we take care of everything, just there are the servers, send the games there, we know what we're doing. And since we didn't find out yet a proper aggregator that offers also some legal help on the side, then we didn't push for the market at this moment at all. So again, like everything that I'm saying about the US market is more of like my observation when I tried to enter the market, and then I decided to postpone it for a time where we can go as a single entity.
Right, it's interesting to hear. Is it a case, John, of a lot of the industry seems to be promoting diversification in the revenue stream in general, and there are a lot of emerging markets, of course, in Africa, LATAM, North America, Asia, and so on and so forth. Is it a case of you kind of can't do everything at once, and with the complexity that the North American market brings, you choose to focus on other emerging markets? Because that's the feeling I'm getting sometimes when I look at a company like Betsson, for example. Betsson Group have chosen to go really strong into Africa and LATAM, but they are much more passive in North America, for example. Is that the case for you guys as well? It's like you kind of cannot pick everything. You have to pick wisely when you diverse.
Yeah, I would say so. Like when we started, it was everything like take anything, make it work, just make it happen. Anything that arrives, any customer that shows potential, just like do whatever the market needs on their side, any compliance, anything. Now we're really picking our battles. We understand like our players, and actually, I like the idea that you mentioned that Betson is moving to new markets. So I would say Betson now is taking up a serious challenge because they need to create a market. They like everybody's like, look, Latam, there is so much opportunity, there will be so much growth, the potential, but not yet. You need to teach the players, like bring slots to Brazil once it's regulated, and like teach them to play it because I don't think it will happen in 1 year or 2 years. Yeah, so this I see more as an option for us to collaborate with guys like Betson that want to create the market. And when you are on the ground, the moment when the market is created, you can get some serious advantage.
Fair enough, fair enough. And it's also a bit of a first mover advantage in a sense, I would imagine, where Betson is going really hard into LATAM and at the same time taking these big sponsorship deals with Copa America and others to be seen as a leader there. I would imagine that creates a good advantage for them. I have a question as well. Lisbeth, with Aspire Global, you guys are obviously targeting the US as well with your, as far as I understand it, is your sports betting product on the B2Bet side. What's you guys' thoughts in general now, kind of entering the US market here? I mean, Jan explained, the complexity, regulation, acquiring local partners. What's Aspire Global's position on entering the US market? Like, what's your aspirations over there in general? Do you feel that will be eventually a market that will generate a significant amount of revenue? Are you expecting it to kind of be a leading market eventually, or are you more cautious in your entry into US?
Yes, I think we haven't been the first one going there. It's more like a second wave entry, but definitely it's a market that we see as one of the leading markets for the future. And it's not only the sports betting a part of the company, the vertical, because there Aspire has the games, the game aggregator, and the platform. So looking at the trend and the growing consolidation, I think that's a really good thing for the future. It will create more like cost efficiency and it gives you entry to there. And also you have to look at the growing mobile penetration in the US and the growing land-based to online. And this is something what Aspire Global especially is looking at. How can we bring land-based casinos in the US online and offer them not only the platform, but the sports betting, the game aggregation, and all the benefits that comes from having that all together. So the strategy and the focus is on the US. Aspire is also in LATAM and Africa with that's I would say mostly sports betting and games, but platform is something we want to push in the US. Yeah, and
Okay.
maybe you have noticed, but last week Aspire announced that they hired the managing director in the US, Quincy Raven. So he will be like full force pushing, and it's really exciting. Like what's going to happen with the company. I'm very excited to be part of this. Also ESG wise, what I'm focusing on sustainability in the US. It's different from what it means in Europe. There's a lot of overlap, but still we need to consolidate also all of our strategies there and see what is important for the stakeholders.
Cool. Yeah. On that note, Lisbeth, I mean, it seems very much that a lot of the investment into the industry is coming from US, essentially, where the traditional Scandinavian listed organizations like Aspire Global are having problems from ESG point of view to basically there's an outflow of investment from the iGaming industry, from Scandinavian investors, pension funds, banks, and so on and so forth. So that begs the question a little bit. Like now, when you are giving US the focus, like I don't know if you can answer this, but like how much of a consideration is it to also attract investment from and attention from US investors when there is an outflow of investment from Scandinavian investors?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm not sure if we can directly attribute the outflow to certain aspects. I know that Aspire is a company that focuses heavily on regulated market. We're not in any black, and this is a really good thing, like to go ahead, to go in the future and go in the US as well. We've been talking a lot about the DraftKings acquiring SB Tech and also other companies. Like, what are they going to do in the future? And Aspire has already set like a very clear goal to go this way. So that's one thing that's good. And I think overall, why are land-based casinos like acquiring so many online companies? It's something they don't have and they need. It's like the know-how of online. It's a different world online. You need to get into that. So you can either partner with a company or just buy it, because that's you see what's happening now a lot.
Fair enough. Thanks, Elizabeth. And Katie, I want to jump over to you a bit here. I mean, you're obviously marketing consultant for Hard Rock International, so I would imagine that you think a lot about the movements and dynamics within the US market. And again, going back to DraftKings and the various initiatives that they are doing at the moment and really kind of gaining momentum in some ways. From a marketing perspective, what's your analysis of DraftKings and in general, like what's your thoughts on DraftKings and what they are doing at the moment?
Wow. Just like you say, like this week, everything with DraftKings, they're doing so many different things. They're in every corner, like NFT and the discipline I'm very interested in though, so I'm gonna follow that. But so what I think, I think they're doing the right thing. You guys mentioned earlier a little bit about like Betsson, that they're taking it slowly in the US, and I think it was Pontus Lindvall who said that they're doing it because they're going in with their own brands and they want to like establish the name slowly, whereas I think in Africa they're actually pushing a new market. They're going in like really hard and aggressive because they need to spread it out. And I think if you look at DraftKings here, they're doing the same thing as Betsson, but like with the NFT space, they're trying to with all the celebrities there, they're trying to bring in a different demographic at the same time. They're looking at the golden nugget thing now, and it's a lot other demographic there as well. Like you said, there's a lot of females there, so yeah, I just it's interesting. I'm following them as well. I definitely think they're one of the leaders in the industry, as they're in every corner. But I just want to touch on as well, like in New Jersey, it's very, very difficult. Like previously I worked a lot in MJ, of course, but the last 3 years I've been working with DG in New Jersey, and it's so hard. They're completely different in how they look at everything from campaigns to what customers will have, how often they do checks and stuff like that. It's really, really hard, and I thought UKGC was hard before, but it's nothing compared to the DG. But it is worth it. I am self-employed, so I have my own company, and I managed to get a partnership with Hard Rock, and of course there was a lot of like paperwork to be done, but once it was done, like it's so good money-wise as well. Like me being a consultant, I managed to double my income. So it's really good, and I can't wait to continue expanding in New Jersey as well, and it's a long license. So I'm very happy New Jersey is doing good things.
Maybe I can chime in for anyone that wants to sort of be a licensed consultant for the US, because I also hold a license for New Jersey. I don't consult anymore, but I was. It's very important that you send the application form by courier as a hard copy because I didn't, and I didn't think we had to. I just sent sort of scanned, and then a couple of months later, I received an email from the DGE saying that if I don't send it within 3 days, I would be blacklisted. So that was a little bit of a panic attack there. So yeah, if you apply for a license as a consultant in New Jersey, make sure you send the hard copy directly to the DGE office.
Good advice here, Karolina. Katie, I think this is really interesting. Why don't we stay on this topic for a bit? I mean, marketing and creating campaigns in New Jersey, in the US. Can you talk a little bit more of the what you have found so far? Like what works in the US that maybe doesn't work as well in Europe and vice versa? Like, can you talk about like the differences of creating campaigns in US and Europe?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is mostly like how big you give back. I think like if you're in Europe, 100% up to 100 euros is like okay. That's actually very good. Like you most probably a VIP or something if you get that often. Otherwise, it's like 50-25%. Whereas in the US, I think it's more common to go up to like 100% up to 200, 300, 500, 600, 1K. There's a lot of different things. Oh, one thing I would say that definitely works in the US is leaderboards. They're so huge on leaderboards. It's crazy. Every time we've tried that, we have a lot of VIPs, a lot of new people coming in, and I haven't really seen that in Europe that works. I don't know if it's because Europeans, I used to get more complaints about that. I don't want my name shown, or I don't want people to figure out who I am. Where in the US, they're like literally in every day asking when is it going to be updated. I need to know where I am. And it doesn't matter. Like we've had small leaderboards, we have big leaderboards. They always draw a lot of attention. But again, like talking about DG and regulations, they're also very, very careful looking at, even timings. What time did you say in terms and conditions that things were going to be paid out, whatever. You have to do it exact that time. They're so hard. And I don't think MJ was that hard before. I remember back in the day, we didn't even ask for a source of wealth. So, but again, like that's 10 years ago. So in the US now, they're really, really hard on everything. Market-wise as well, one of my best memories in New Jersey actually was 2018 when we just started. We just launched Hard Rock, and we suggested we do Free Spins Friday, Free Spins drop, and that's very common in Europe. You have like 100 free spins that drops for 10 players, whatever, on a Friday, a certain time, first come, first serve. And I remember when we said that in 2018, the guys in my team were a little bit like hesitant, just giving out free spins to anyone. But it was a huge success. So for many, many months to come, that's what we did for a long time because we just attracted so many players that we were just like, people were so impressed with the campaign. And me and my team here in Europe, just like we do this every day at every casino in Europe. It's nothing new. So that was just really, really fun to see. And yeah, sorry, I'm not going to go on now.
Awesome, Katie. And what's your thought like with the complexity in the US in general? I mean, you have pretty good insight in the investment that's needed to acquire the players. Like for example, Leo Vegas announced that they are going into the US as a B2C now. They are a smaller tier 2 operator. Do you think that smaller tier 2 operators will be able to successfully establish footholds in the US, or is the market for only the tier ones like Hard Rock and obviously DraftKings, Flutters, and the others?
No. I think anyone can come into the market because there's still so many in New Jersey who hasn't played online gambling. I think it's like 15% of people who come to the land-based casinos have actually been online. So, and most of the groups I am in right now, when it comes to casino in North America or New Jersey, all of them are mostly talking about land-based. They haven't really experienced the online. They still feel like that is a little bit unsure, unsecure, and they're missing that whole experience of it. So I definitely think anyone, it doesn't have to be a tier 1, can come in. There's so much more to come in the New Jersey market.
Great. That's super interesting, Katie. Thanks for the insights on that front. I want to jump over to another topic. Karolina, perhaps I guess indirectly, that you will be interested in this, which is the LeoVegas quarterly report that came out this morning. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a disappointment from LeoVegas side. They posted decreased revenue. Obviously, they have been very exposed to Germany, which has gone from being something like 20% of the company's revenue to about 4% now. They lost about 80+% of revenues in Germany. And it was a disappointment, all in all, the quarterly report of LeoVegas, and the share price so far has fallen 5.5% today. It was down 8% at some point. So, Karolina, I know that you obviously, it was a couple of years ago you worked at LeoVegas, but I know that you are close with many of the guys there. Do you see LeoVegas recovering? What do you feel is the future of Leo, Karolina?
Yeah, I have to highlight that the views are of my own. I'm in no way affiliated, and I don't consult the results with them. But you know, I think it was expected. So the report was just publishing the results. But I mean, any company that is publicly listed and that is going into the US and is very visible and active in regulated markets was going to take a hit in Germany. It was unavoidable. So, you know, if you're doing things the right way and you follow the regulation and you sort of stay compliant, which you have to if you want to be seen as the good actor of the industry, which they do, you are going to take a hit. And it's not just LeoVegas. I think those reports are going to be visible for most, especially for Germany. You know, they are very big in Sweden, and Sweden has been heavily impacted by all those restrictions following from COVID on deposits, on advertising, on everything, which have not been lifted still. So that for sure is affecting them, especially that LeoVegas is known to be very active in their sort of above the line advertising strategy. So that would be a big restriction for them. And I think, you know, announcing that they go into the US is part of the diversification of risk when certain markets in Europe are becoming too tricky to have them profitable and growing, like UK, like Sweden at the moment, like Germany. The US is seen as that golden opportunity, and I think LeoVegas is perfectly positioned for the US market. They, you know, they used to have the best mobile product in Europe. They have one of the very best ones in the US right now. They partnered with a recognized player. You know, the sportsbook. They will need to figure out the sportsbook, that they've also acquired sort of sportsbook expertise and good sportsbook product from the recent acquisition. So I think they have a great chance in the US, and if they use their expertise on marketing and do proper investment in building the brand. LeoVegas as a brand is great. It's a great name for the US, obviously. So if they can rip the SEO value of that, I think they have a very good chance of recovering their losses in the European markets in the sort of dreamland of the US. So I'm hopeful for them, and I think they will bounce back. I don't think it's a surprise. So the share would have, you know, fallen because it's a confirmation of what everybody was expecting, but you could not expect any other results in Germany from a regulated player.
Right. Interesting what you mentioned with the SEO value in the brand as well. Katie, you're obviously on the SEO side. Do you agree with Karolina? Do you think LeoVegas as a brand name will be beneficial to them in the States from SEO?
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I agree with everything Karolina says.
Thank you, Katie.
Fantastic. Okay, Karolina, follow-up question here as well. I mean, looking at the quarterly report, 80% of LeoVegas revenue still come from Europe, whereas only 20% comes from what they group as rest of the world. I think they disclosed that around 10% comes from North America, which basically means Canada at the moment. You know, looking at their competitors like Betson, Kindred, they have already managed to diversify the revenue streams outside of Europe. We talked about bets on going into Africa and LATAM and establishing footholds there. It seems that LeoVegas are a bit on the, I don't know what to say, they are a bit late to the party, no?
I think yes, but I think it's a strategic move, and it was thoroughly considered, and it's very much to do with the readiness of their technology teams and platform. They've got the proprietary platform which they needed to make ready for partnership in the US, and I don't think they wanted to lose focus. It's very difficult to maintain the level of innovation that LeoVegas is exposing and sort of work on maintenance and scalability of the platform and ability to take B2B sort of partners onto your proprietary platform. So I think they didn't want to lose focus on their key markets where innovation is really important to maintain your advantage while they were getting ready the platform. And when the platform got ready, they could get in a partnership in the US, and it's a good partnership. It's not scraps of the market. So I think that was the reason for a delay. And as we've talked about before, and the bets on brands, I think all these brands have learned across the past years that rushed moves and going after new markets when you don't have the right team, the right technology, and the right sort of expertise of readiness internally to absorb these new brands and really pursue the opportunities is important. It's not enough to just get a Spanish license and be live in Spain to be making money in Spain. It's not enough to get an Italian license to be profitable in Italy and know how to navigate the whole sort of marketing drama in there, and start to be competitive to the brands that this was their territory for many years. So I think these are moves that are thought through of how to diversify without impacting and essentially cannibalizing on a resource level and on a attention level your existing markets. So that's why I think they've taken it slower. And I wouldn't say it's a bad decision. As Katie said, I mean, we are at the very beginning of this, and Daniel and Carousel Group is a great example of you don't need to go after New Jersey to build presence and make yourself a a strong player in the U.S. market. The states, each new state opening up, maybe a part of DraftKings, it's a clean state for many, and you can start building your presence. And if you focus on that specific state, its needs, and you know how to market to those players, and you have the right partners, I still think you have a chance. It's definitely not too late.
We're just at the beginning. I like it. Unlike this conversation, which is heading towards its end here, but I want to jump over to Rory as well. I mean, you've been listening impatiently here, Rory, my dear colleague and friend here. What's your summary of the discussion so far? Do you have any comments, anything to chime in with here, Rory? Anything to add, or any questions, perhaps?
Yeah, thanks. No, it's been a fascinating listen, actually, to be honest. I think it's really interesting what's happening in the US at the moment, and just seeing how all those I don't know. I got bought a chess set for my son for my birthday recently, and it reminds me of something like that we are watching the chess board play out at the moment as to how to dominate the US market. And I think we had those early adopters, those early people that rushed into the market, and I think there's been a lot of people waiting sort of to see what happens, because I think the US market is very lucrative, but it's also very strict and very, they come after you quite heavily when you're non-compliant. So I agree with what everyone's saying here, that I think LeoVegas has done the right thing. They've waited their time, and now get into the marketplace, and I think we'll see a number of those second wave companies coming in will actually maybe even overtake those early adopters, I suppose. So I think it's been fascinating. I think again it's only the start. I think we'll see much more happening. With sports betting in most states has been regulated, and I think there's more to follow going down the line coming forward. And I think it'd be really fascinating to see whether a lot of these companies have had their experience or their revenue gained from the Asian markets. out of just as a point of interest, I'm wondering, is the Asian market going to suffer slightly because everyone sees the opportunity in the US at the moment, and being that sort of grey market over in Asia, are people just going to sacrifice that and go for the US full tilt? And how does that play out in Asia as well, or do we see some new entrants into the Asian market that haven't been there before, which will just stick to the Asian market only? So I think it's fascinating. I think as you know, you and I are talking about a lot about the investment side and what's going on, and just trying to get your head around it and trying to keep up to breath with what's going on is fascinating. Literally every hour there seems to be something coming out. So I think it's only the start, and I think there's a lot more to play out, I think, going forward.
Yeah, the investment side is an interesting dynamic, because the American investors are kind of grappling with trying to understand the iGaming industry, and so we have been creating podcasts and reports on some of the quarterly reports, and the result of that is that we are sometimes contacted by institutional investors, primarily from the US, who want to ask questions, how does the industry work? And it's funny because the questions they ask is very rudimentary. It's they have obviously not been exposed to this industry before.
Exactly, and I think it's one of those things where they never really like I say, they never really understood it, but that the Americans, once they get an understanding of it, they go full tilt and they go full 100% into it. So I think that's what we're finding now, that tidal wave of interest from the American markets is certainly taking place, and will only continue to grow, and the monies that we're seeing here at the moment will probably be dwarfed in a couple of years' time, because the opportunity, I think, in the US has always been there, but just never been adopted, I suppose. Now it's been adopted, we're seeing lots of interesting stories happening.
Yeah, for sure. And someone made a funny or the interesting observation that it's a lot thanks to the rise of evolution, which have attracted lots and lots of investors into becoming more curious about the industry as a whole. Evolution is now the biggest gambling company in the world by market cap, and obviously there's been exponential growth, and that has pulled in a lot of investors that are now questioning who is the next evolution. It's kind of like almost like on the crypto and blockchain side, where the rise of cryptos, the rise of Bitcoin, let's say, pulls in a lot more people into the ecosystem who will then discover Ethereum and other cryptos, and then discover blockchain technology solutions. Yeah. And it's that leader who kind of pulls in the
exactly.
and creates the ecosystem.
Yeah, if you take a look at Uber and Airbnb, they weren't the first people into the market. They were almost third or fourth. There's a lot of people ahead of them that tried to get into the marketplace and tried to do what they're doing, and there's a lot of investors obviously in them at the time. But Uber just either got the timing right, and again, it's about that. It's being there at the right place at the right time when everything just seems to click, which is what Uber was at the time. But they weren't the first ones into the marketplace in terms of doing what they wanted to do. They were sort of second or third, and often that might transpire into the gambling space as well. It's the added old saying that it's not necessarily the first person to lead wins the race. It's how you tactically position yourself, I suppose. And there's I imagine there's a lot of analysts analyzing going on at the moment as to what's going on, and I think we'll see a few leaders. DraftKings, was going to be the biggest player into the marketplace, and now they're probably fourth or fifth, and they've been overtaken slowly. And I don't know where they sit now, but they were one of the first entrants into the marketplace, and they're not necessarily one of the leaders at the moment. So I think it was certainly lots more to change, and more opportunity, that's for sure.
Right. Thank you for that, Rory. So time to summarize a little bit here today. I wanted to just as a final little question today. Jan, again, I want to just jump over to you as well. Is there any more observations of the conversation here that you would like to chime in with as a little roundup today of the discussion? Any observations you made through this hour?
I just want to repeat the main observation and what Rory mentioned, that really the US is just the beginning, because the options, how you can gain capital, and how the US mentality is focused on rallies. Like everything is great, go left. Everything is bad, go right. So we definitely are going to see some crazy movements. It's gonna be exciting, and on one hand, I envy Daniel and his group that he's there on the ground, with his own company, fighting and experiencing all of that. On the other hand, I don't envy the possible headaches that may arrive from this crazy time. But like everybody knows, the rewards can be amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Jan. And yeah, I'd like to thank everyone so much for the great discussion today as well. Katie, Jan, Nico, Roy, and Karolina, you've been fantastic today, bringing all the insights, nice and open discussion. And thanks for everyone for listening in as well. I just want to mention as well, before we finish the room, that this session has been recorded. We are intending to publish it, but for the lovely panelists who are up on stage here, if there is something you'd like us to not publish, then of course let us know, and we very much respect the Clubhouse house rules here. So whatever we want to keep private obviously stays private. So with that, thank you guys for another fantastic Thursday morning together. I hope you had your coffee together with us today, and are loaded for a great day ahead. And we will see you here next week again. Take care and enjoy the hot summer weather.